August 14th, 1957, 3:17 p.m., corner of 125th Street and 8th Avenue, Harlem, New York. The sound of the slap echoed off the brick buildings like a gunshot. Mayme Johnson's hat flew off her head, groceries scattered across the sidewalk, tomatoes rolled into the gutter. The crowd on 125th Street froze. 30 people stopped mid-step because everyone in Harlem knew that face. That was Mayme Johnson, Bumpy Johnson's wife. Officer James Patrick Corrigan stood over her, his hand still raised. "When I tell you to move your black ass, you move." Mayme didn't cry, didn't scream. She picked up her hat with quiet dignity, looked Corrigan in the eye, and said 7 words. "You just made a terrible mistake." She walked away, head high. The crowd parted like water. Corrigan laughed, turned to his partner. These people need to learn respect. But 3 of Bumpy's men had watched the entire thing. One was already on the phone. Another was following Corrigan. The call reached Bumpy 4 minutes after the slap. What Bumpy did in the next 72 hours didn't just destroy Corrigan's career. It made the entire NYPD change how they operated in Harlem, changed the rules, changed the game. This is the story of how Bumpy Johnson used intelligence, leverage, and calculated precision to make the NYPD punish their own, without firing a single shot, without spilling a drop of blood. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button right now and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. New York, London, Lagos. I want to know where this story reaches. Mayme Johnson wasn't just Bumpy's wife. Born Mamie Hatcher in North Carolina in 1914, she was educated, well-spoken, served on church committees. The respectable side of Harlem loved her separate from Bumpy. She represented dignity. That's who Corrigan slapped. 1957. Harlem was tense. The NYPD's 28th and 32nd precincts treated the neighborhood like occupied territory. Police brutality was the default. Cops stopped people for looking suspicious, shook down businesses, harassed families. No consequences. Ever. Except there was Bumpy Johnson. When someone's son got arrested on false charges, they came to Bumpy. When police harassed working people, they came to Bumpy. Because the law didn't protect black people in 1957, so someone else had to. By August 1957, Bumpy was 52, at his peak. He controlled the policy racket across Harlem, had connections to the Italian families, but maintained independence. He'd survived Dutch Schultz, Alcatraz, assassination attempts. He was smarter, more calculated, more patient than everyone else. Officer James Corrigan had been on the force 15 years. Multiple complaints for excessive force, multiple accusations of taking bribes, 0 consequences. He was protected. His captain liked him. The union backed him. He had no idea what was about to happen. Bumpy was in his office above Small's Paradise, meeting with 2 Italian associates about policy territory. The phone rang. He took it privately, listened, asked 4 questions. Which corner? What time? Which precinct? Who saw it? He returned to the meeting like nothing happened, but his mind was already working. The meeting ended. He called in 3 men, Quick Johnson, Smooth Henderson, and Preach Wilson. This afternoon, a cop named Corrigan put his hands on Mayme, slapped her on 125th Street. Quick stood up. "Where is he? We can..." "Sit down." Not loud, just absolute authority. "You kill Corrigan, they send more. They come harder. They hurt the community. This isn't about one cop. It's about every cop in Harlem." "So what do we do?" Smooth asked. "We make the system punish him." Bumpy pulled out a notepad. "By tomorrow morning, I need everything on Corrigan. Where he lives, his family, his debts, his captain. Everything." Most men would respond with violence. That's what the system expected. But Bumpy was about to do something they couldn't fight with bullets. By 7 a.m. next morning, 16 hours after the slap, Bumpy had a complete file. Smooth reported first. Corrigan lives in Queens. Wife Margaret, 3 daughters, 15 years on the force, 7 complaints for excessive force, 0 consequences. His captain is Thomas Brennan, 32nd Precinct. Tell me about Brennan. He's up for promotion, deputy inspector, hearing September 24th, 6 weeks from now. Promotion depends on maintaining good community relations. No scandals. Bumpy smiled, that cold predator smile. Continue. Quick pulled out photos and documents. Corrigan's broke. Gambling debts. Owes 1/500 to a loan shark who owes us money. Takes protection money from 6 businesses in Harlem. 200 a month. We got pictures. He slid surveillance photos across. Corrigan taking envelopes, stuffing cash in his jacket. And this is interesting, Quick added, pulling out another photo. He's got a mistress in the Bronx, black woman. Been going on 2 years. His wife doesn't know. Preach was last. Captain Brennan is very ambitious. That promotion comes with political connections. The mayor cares about Harlem, election next year. Brennan cannot afford riots or bad press from the black community. Who do we know in the mayor's office? Reverend Powell is tight with the deputy mayor. Powell owes you. Bumpy leaned back. Call Powell. I need someone who talks to the mayor about police appointments. Quick, tell Mickey Feldman that Corrigan's debt is now mine. Smooth, I need those photos delivered to Corrigan tomorrow morning, along with new ones. What new ones? His children walking to school, his wife at the market, his house. I want him to understand we know everything. We see everything. The men understood, not threatening violence, threatening exposure, making Corrigan's imagination do the work. Next morning, 7:15 a.m., Corrigan walked to his car and found an envelope under the windshield wiper. Inside, 8 photographs. Corrigan taking bribes from 3 different businesses, dated. Corrigan with his mistress holding hands. His daughters walking to school, yesterday. His wife shopping, yesterday. His house from multiple angles, yesterday. Him slapping Mayme Johnson, clear image, witnesses visible. No note, no threats, just the photographs. Corrigan's hand shook. He looked around, nobody visible, but he felt watched, felt exposed. All day he was jumpy, looking over his shoulder, checking his rearview mirror. His partner noticed, but Corrigan couldn't explain, because those photos showed him committing crimes. He couldn't go to his captain, internal affairs, or his union. He was isolated, vulnerable. The genius, Bumpy hadn't threatened anyone. Just shown what he knew, what he could do. The implication was clear but deniable. Word spread through the precinct. Something's going on with Patty Corrigan. He did something bad. That's when the second message arrived. This one for Captain Brennan. Quick question for you. If you were Bumpy, would you have handled this with violence or strategy? Drop your answer below and tell me where you're watching from. This story's reached every continent. Friday afternoon, 2:00 p.m. Captain Brennan's phone rang. Captain, there's a call. Says his name is William Johnson. William Johnson, Bumpy's legal name. Brennan's stomach tightened. Put him through. Captain Brennan, the voice was calm, educated, professional. My name is William Johnson. I represent certain business interests in Harlem. We have a mutual problem. What problem, Mr. Johnson? Yesterday, Officer James Patrick Corrigan, badge 4728, assaulted my wife on 125th Street. Struck her in the face, 30 witnesses. I have their names. Brennan tried. Wait. If you have a complaint, Captain, let's not waste time. I'm offering you an opportunity. Bumpy's voice got colder. Corrigan's been operating illegally for 15 years. Takes protection money from 6 businesses. I have photographs with dates, gambling debts to loan sharks. I have documentation. A mistress in the Bronx, black woman, ironically, his wife doesn't know. I have photographs. Brennan said nothing. How did Johnson get all this? Your officer is costing you your promotion, Captain. That deputy inspector position you've worked toward for 5 years. I can make this very public, or you can handle it quietly. Transfer him out of Harlem tonight. That's a big ask. This isn't negotiation. It's an opportunity. Transfer Corrigan, this ends. Photos disappear. Witnesses forget. Your promotion goes through. If you don't, Monday morning I contact the NAACP, the Amsterdam News, Reverend Powell. I show them everything. Then I hold a press conference on your precinct steps with 30 witnesses asking, why does the NYPD protect corrupt, violent officers? Brennan could see it. Media coverage, community outrage, questions at his promotion hearing he couldn't answer. You're a smart man, Captain. You don't want your career ending because of one racist cop. Transfer him, save your career, your promotion, your pension. Silence. How do I know you'll keep your word? Captain, I'm a businessman. I keep my agreements. You remove Corrigan, I go away. I need time. You have until 5 p.m. today. After that, I make phone calls. The line went dead. Brennan stared at his phone. He'd worked 15 years for this promotion. Corrigan wasn't worth it. Corrigan was expendable. He called personnel, made the transfer order effective immediately. Officer James Patrick Corrigan was being reassigned to Staten Island. Then he called Corrigan into his office. 3:45 p.m. same day. Sit down, Corrigan. You're being transferred, effective immediately. 121st Precinct, Staten Island. Report Monday. Clear your locker by end of shift. What? Why? I've been here 8 years. The woman you struck yesterday. Do you know who that was? Bumpy Johnson's wife. Now I've spent my afternoon dealing with threats, photographs, community leaders. That woman's husband can end my career and your career. He has evidence of every bribe you've taken. Corrigan's face went white. 2 choices. Go to Staten Island quietly. Keep your badge, pension, job. Or fight this and every photograph of you taking bribes goes to internal affairs. Your choice. Corrigan stood. What about the other guys? They didn't slap Bumpy Johnson's wife in public. You did. You made this bed. Now sleep in it. Within an hour, every cop in Harlem knew. That cop who hit Bumpy's wife got transferred. Same day, no hearing. Just gone. The message spread. Bumpy Johnson can make the NYPD punish their own. Through leverage, through fear, through making it more dangerous to fight him than cooperate. That night, Bumpy went home to Mayme. She was reading. The bruise faded to yellow. He sat beside her, took her hand. It's handled. How? The right way. She knew no violence, no bodies, no war, just precision. But Bumpy wasn't done. He had one final move that would change Harlem policing for a decade. 1 week later, back room of Small's Paradise. 3 police captains sat across from Bumpy. Captain Brennan from the 32nd, Captain Frank Morelli from the 28th, Captain Richard Howard from the 30th. Each one came because refusing would be unwise. Bumpy spoke like a businessman. Gentlemen, we need to discuss how policing works in Harlem. The current system isn't working for anyone. Mr. Johnson, if this is about Captain Brennan, you know what this is. I'm expanding the conversation. He looked at each man. The Corrigan situation was instructive. One officer stepped out of line. I demonstrated I have other options. He slid 3 folders across the table. Inside, you'll find photographs and documentation of illegal activities by officers in your precincts, protection money, bribes, excessive force. I have more, much more. The captains opened the folders. Their faces went neutral, but their eyes told the story. I could give these to internal affairs, the newspapers, the NWACP, but that wouldn't change anything. Officers would get fired, new ones would come. They'd do the same things. Bumpy leaned back. So here's what I'm proposing, a new arrangement. Your officers continue operating in Harlem, continue their financial arrangements. I won't interfere. I'll make it easier. I'll tell you which operations are legitimate, which should be left alone. In exchange, your officers treat ordinary citizens with respect. No random stops, no harassment, no brutality against working people, church people, families. You want criminals? I'll help you find them, but you leave innocent people alone. Captain Morelli spoke carefully. And if we refuse? Monday morning, I make phone calls. The NAACP, the Amsterdam News, Reverend Powell. I show them everything. Then I organize a protest about police brutality right before an election. When the mayor needs Harlem's votes, then I watch your careers end because politicians will throw you under the bus. That's how it works. This wasn't negotiation. This was one chance to save their careers. Captain Brennan spoke first. How do we know you'll hold up your end? Captain, I've operated in Harlem 30 years. Have I ever broken an agreement? Brennan shook his head. No, Dijon. Then you have your answer. I'm not asking for friendship. I'm asking for a professional arrangement. You keep your people in line. I keep mine in line. We all make money. We maintain order. And innocent people get to live in peace. One by one, the captains nodded. Checkmate. Bumpy stood. Gentlemen, I'm glad we could reach an understanding. The bar's open. First round's on me. They left one at a time, and Bumpy sat alone, smoking, thinking about what he'd accomplished. He hadn't just avenged his wife. He'd rewritten the rules of power in Harlem, turned the NYPD's corruption against itself, created a system where brutality would be reduced because it was now in officers' financial interest to follow the rules. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't legal, but it worked. So what happened after? Officer Corrigan spent 18 months in Staten Island. Miserable. He tried multiple times to transfer back. Every request denied. He took early retirement in 1960, age 42, moved to Pennsylvania, worked mall security, died in 1983. His obituary was 4 sentences. Didn't mention the NYPD. Captain Brennan got his promotion. September 1957, he became deputy inspector. Served until 1968 with full honors. Years later, he admitted Bumpy was the smartest criminal I ever dealt with. Their arrangement became the model for NYPD operations in Harlem for the next decade. Never written down, never official, but every captain who rotated through got the message. Work with Bumpy, not against him. Mayme Johnson continued her community work. Lived to 94, passing in 2009. She wrote a memoir. In interviews, Bumpy never needed to be violent. He was too smart for that. Police brutality in Harlem didn't disappear, but it dropped significantly. Officers knew, cross certain lines, face consequences, not legal consequences, career consequences. By the 1960s civil rights era, Harlem had fewer violent police confrontations than other black neighborhoods because Bumpy had created an invisible buffer, a shadow system of accountability the law couldn't provide. He operated until his death in 1968. Heart attack, age 62. Never went back to prison after 1957. His power only grew. Thousands came to his funeral. Not just criminals, regular people, church ladies, business owners, people who remembered. When nobody else protected them, Bumpy Johnson did. Bumpy Johnson didn't just defend his wife's honor. He showed that real power isn't about violence, it's about information. Leverage, understanding how systems work and using their corruption against them. Killing Corrigan would have been easy, satisfying, and meaningless. Another cop would take his place. The brutality would continue. But by making the system punish itself, by manipulating the NYPD's own chain of command, he changed the game entirely. Intelligence beats force. Strategy beats emotion. Patience beats impulsiveness. Look at what he did. Information gathering, psychological pressure, institutional leverage, political connections, strategic negotiation. Not a single bullet fired. He turned the NYPD's corruption against them, made Captain Brennan choose between his career and one cop, made 3 captains agree to his terms because fighting him was more dangerous. That's not just gangster wisdom. That's political genius. In 1957, a black man in Harlem had 0 legal recourse against a white cop. The system was rigged. So Bumpy built a parallel system, one based on fear, leverage, and mutual benefit, one that protected people. Was it perfect? No. Legal? No. But it worked. And for the people of Harlem, that mattered, Baird. Bumpy showed that even in a rigged game, intelligence can beat power. That even when the law won't protect you, you can create your own protection. Now, I want to hear from you. Really think about this. If you were in Bumpy's position, would you have responded with violence or strategy? Would you have trusted the long game or demanded immediate satisfaction? Drop your answer in the comments. And where are you watching from? This story started in Harlem, but it's reached every continent. Drop your city or country below. But here's the deeper question. Was Bumpy Johnson a criminal? Yes, he broke the law every day. But did he make Harlem safer for ordinary people? Did he give his community protection that the legal system refused to provide? Did he reduce police brutality when Black Americans had no legal recourse? Also, yes, that's the complicated truth. He wasn't a hero, he wasn't a villain, he was something more complex. He operated in gray zones that exist when the law fails. If this showed you a side of history they don't teach in schools, hit that subscribe button. There are more untold stories coming, stories of strategy, survival, and people who changed the game without anyone realizing it. Next time, we're telling another story of power and intelligence triumphing over force. Subscribe. Turn on notifications. These stories are just getting started. Officer James Patrick Corrigan learned something that every cop in New York eventually understood. Bumpy Johnson doesn't make threats. He makes demonstrations. And when he demonstrates power, the whole city pays attention. You don't challenge a man who can make the system eat itself.